Hello, and welcome to Leadership as a Philosophy, Not a Checklist. This is sort of bonus content, and this is going to be on the 2020 West Point cheating scandal. Now, three things, and I'm telling you this with all sincerity. I am a huge fan of West Point. A couple of the best leaders that I have ever worked for in my life came from West Point. Also, a couple of the worst. I am not envious of the ability to get to West Point because I'm a terrible student, had bad SATs. I was by no means qualified to attend the academy. So this is not in any way some sort of spiteful or vindictive thing. If you would like to make sure that you know what we're talking about here, go watch the rest of the video so you'll understand my framework. But I'm going to talk about the cheating scandal and the response to it. This is not... There's no accusations in here. Anything that I talk about is either conjecture or possibly hypothesis or fact, where I have the facts available. And the purpose of this is to call attention to the fact that maybe sometimes people aren't paying attention. Okay, so if you're a West Point graduate and you're watching this, understand that this is not from any sort of a bad position. What it is calling out what right is. And so then maybe that's going to cause some people to take a serious look at what's going on or cause them to be more introspective. So not a super long one, but I feel like I had to do this because I've actually been losing sleep the past few days ever since I read about the story. And I just feel like this is the right thing to do. So hopefully it causes some introspection on some people's parts, if that makes any sense. Okay, right to the PowerPoint, and we will proceed from there. So here we go. To me, this is pretty cut and dry, okay? And so I'm going to make some statements, and then I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions. I'll provide a little bit of commentary, but I just want you to think about this, pay attention to this, and then ask some questions, okay? So first, the rules, pretty easy, and then the consequences. All right. So the Cadet Honor Code, which was formalized, and please, all you West Point historians, I get it. I've done the best research that I can. So it was sort of codified in the 40s, in the late 40s. And this is the honor code. A cadet will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. Pretty good, right? Integrity. Integrity, and then also humility and empathy. But it's a big integrity check, okay? That's it. So pretty simple. You would think that's easy, no problem, okay? So in 1951, there were 83 cadets that were caught cheating, and they were all expelled or resigned, right? You know, I love that. I don't know what the difference is. You know, are you fired? No, I quit. Okay, perfect. All right, so great. Congratulations, you passed the test because you cheated and you're not tolerating it. All right, 1976, there were 150 cadets expelled for cheating. Now, to be 100% genuine and fair, I have read a bunch of articles and looked at a bunch of sources, and the numbers change all the time. So another big cheating scandal in 1976. Cadets were all expelled. Now, they got the chance to reapply and come back through and do some other stuff. Okay, right? And then we're going to fast forward to last year. So a bunch of students cheated on an exam, and the reason they got caught was because they all got the same thing wrong. You know, they all got the same section of the test incorrect. So that's how they found out. Okay, so this is from the superintendent of the school. All right, it says the tenets of honorable living remain immutable, and the outcomes of our leader development system remain the same to graduate Army officers that live honorably, lead honorably, and demonstrate excellence. West Point must be the gold standard for developing Army officers. We demand nothing less than impeccable character from our graduates. Okay. All right. So that sounds to me like we demand and we expect it. So we expect 100% excellence. Okay. So then this is the next one. And I highlighted this because you'll notice some interesting incongruities. So the honor system at West Point is strong and working as designed. We made a deliberate decision to uphold our academic standards during the pandemic. We are holding cadets to those standards. All right? Then the chief of staff said that he did not consider the manner to be a serious breach of the ethical code. So which is it? I'm serious. Which is it? Pick one. We demand nothing but impeccable character. We're upholding our academic standards, but this wasn't a serious breach of the code. So what's the standard? Is the standard that you can cheat as long as you don't get caught? I don't know. I'm serious. I'm asking questions because there's a huge contradiction there. This says we're not going to lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. To me, showing no tolerance is throwing people out if they cheat. Right? Right? So, well, yeah, they cheated, but it wasn't a big serious breach of the code. They cheated on a test. We made a deliberate decision to uphold our standards, but it's not a serious breach. So what is the standard? Is the standard they had to cheat on 4 sections? They had to cheat on the whole test? They had to cheat on more than one test? This is a completely slippery slope. This is not a serious breach of the code. Said it wouldn't have happened if the students had taken the exam on campus. Are you sure? Because in 76 it happened, in 51 it happened. And then let's look at the real question, right? If this many people didn't just decide to cheat yesterday or that day, so how big of an investigation are they doing to see how extensive cheating actually is? Because this just doesn't start with 70-something people. So here's the incident that happened. 73 cadets is accused of cheating. 6 resigned during the investigation. 8 were expelled, 2 were acquitted, and 51 pushed back a year. Again, these numbers are a mess because every article that I read had different versions of these. Well, what's the problem with that? Okay? What's the problem with this? If you have any integrity, you get the 8 people that you expelled and bring them back. The 6 people that resigned, you bring them back because you let these 51 get rid of it or get away with it. Right? These people that resigned during the investigation probably assumed they were going to get booted. So what makes those 51 so special? They cheated. They should be gone. I'm sorry. You cheated. Right? And then you look here. We demand nothing less than impeccable character. Okay, so these people cheated. Get rid of them. They obviously didn't have character. Okay, like I said, I'm getting hyped up, but the problem is I'm going to show you some examples of what they just did to these poor students. And I say poor students because I think they're a product of their environment. I'll bet this is complete conjecture, but I just want you to think about it. If 77 people got caught on this one time, what makes you think that there's not any more? Because 77 people don't just suddenly decide to cheat. These 150 didn't just decide to cheat. Right? It was going on before then, I'm sure, and then they got caught. Okay? So we're upending the entire school and we're going to find out what's going on and we're going to root out all the corruption. I don't know. And I'm not saying it's corrupt, but if 77 did that, you think that was enough? Okay. So here's the questions. What sort of examples being set by the leadership at West Point? Right? Deficiency of empathy and vigilance and integrity. They don't have any integrity within their own principles, right? And why do I say vigilant? Because the punishment's completely inconsistent. We notice that going through the Army field manuals, right? Make sure that you punish everybody the same. Make sure that you don't have favoritism, right? A bunch of these, I'm not even going to go to the background of some of these students. You can do that research on your own and draw your own conclusions. But the punishment's completely inconsistent. And if they're going to cheat on a stupid test, what are they going to do in the real world when things are really hard? Right? And, I always laugh. They were probably worried about getting a C on the test or a B and cheated to get an A. Right? So in an academic environment where there's no risk, there's no pressure, there's none of this sort of stuff, these people are going to cheat. That's the sort of person that you want to put in charge? Okay? So now what's going to happen? So this is the environment that West Point created. Okay? So the cadets that got away with cheating, in other words, the one that got held around, know they should have been expelled. And now they're going to have that corrosive knowledge weighing down on their conscience. It's the whole participation trophy. Oh, you cheated. Well, we just rolled you back a year. So what's the real consequence? They're still going to graduate? I'm still paying taxpayer dollars for the education for people that cheated? People that cheated are now going to get put in charge of soldiers that I'm paying tax dollars to support? And that's the leaders that you're going to go put in front of there? Okay, so that's the first part. Second part is, how are they going to be treated by people who know? Because guess what? People talk. And so those people are going to go out into the world, going to go out into the army, go somewhere and get in charge of a unit. And it won't be long before suddenly somebody will say something to somebody and it's, oh yeah, your boss cheated at West Point and got away with it. Right? So now that's their reputation, is that they're a cheater. So they were given access to one of the greatest institutions in the United States, educational institutions, and they cheated. So they didn't even have the integrity to realize that, or the presence of mind, or the humility, or the empathy to realize that they were in a specialized, rarefied place that has produced some amazing military leaders, and they cheated. So they couldn't even let that temper their behavior. And now you're going to go put them in charge of an organization. And then they're going to go to discipline somebody for breaking the rules or cheating or lying. And then what? It's like, oh, you're giving me, you're going to throw me out of the army, but you cheated in West Point? How do you think that's going to work? How do you think that's going to go down? Right? And the big bosses here should have known that. They know this. They say that because at West Point, there's a thing called the honor committee. So it's a bunch of students. They go do investigations. Then the students recommend punishment. The big bosses should have said, I know what you recommended, but here is why we have to maintain these standards. Because now the example is that you can cheat and get away with it. Oh, you get rolled back here. No big deal. Right? Once you accept a lower standard, that's the new standard. So if you say, we don't tolerate cheating, except for this time, now you tolerate cheating. That's the new standard. Okay? All right, so we're going to go through a little quick vignette. So one of these cheaters is now a lieutenant in charge of 30-something people. And they're going out to do some training exercise, or they have some survey they have to do, or they've got some numbers that they have to worry about. But because this person is obviously thought that it was important enough to cheat so they could graduate West Point, they're going to cheat so they don't look bad to their commander. So they falsify some readiness documents, or there's some equipment that they have that's missing. Oh, we're just going to fudge that. We're just going to sweep that under the rug, and we're going to just ignore that. Okay, well, what's the consequence of that? Oh, we don't know, right? And then you got a captain. So this lieutenant makes it through. They suddenly become a captain, and now they're in charge of more people. And they cut corners, and they falsify or inflate their maintenance documents or inflate their maintenance numbers so they can look good on paper because they did it in West Point to make sure that they graduated. They didn't care about cutting any corners. What's the repercussions? It's just a number. It's just a piece of equipment. It's just some training. Okay. And then they get promoted to colonel or lieutenant colonel, and now they're in charge of a whole bunch of stuff, and they go and adjust a bunch of data so they look impressive because they go before the quarterly reports where they have to talk about all their numbers, and they just want to look good, so they fluff stuff or adjust stuff, or we're going to reduce some stuff instead of just telling the truth. Right? Because if they're going to cheat when there's obviously if there's pressure, but when there's no pressure, they're going to cheat. What are they going to do in the real world? Well, then what's going to happen? Well, here's what happens. So war breaks out, and the improperly trained and supplied soldiers in insufficiently maintained equipment go to battle with a chain of command that's been accustomed to cheating the system, right? They've been covering up paper. They haven't been obviously doing the right thing leadership-wise. And then unnecessary death and injuries happen because the equipment didn't work, the stuff wasn't maintained, this and that and the other thing. People's lives are at stake. So rather than admit there were failures, then they submit a bunch of false reports and cover up all the stuff because they certainly don't want to admit that they did the wrong thing. Because all of a sudden now they're going to get fired for all these lies. Maybe. Are they? So then these cheaters eventually end up back at West Point as instructors or leaders. Sounds crazy, right? Sounds outlandish. That's amazing. There's no possible way that could happen. Look at the My Lai massacre. Go read the book. Go watch the video that I did on it. The commanding general that was in charge of the division that conducted the My Lai massacre got sent back to be the superintendent of West Point. So the reason that this has bothered me so much is because this is integrity. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing else. If somebody's going to cheat to get ahead, they don't deserve to be in charge of people because they're going to get to a pressure point and they cheated and got away with it. So their brain's going to go, yeah, you don't have to tell the truth this time either. You completely weakened and corrupted the officer corps by doing this. Now, why? Why did they give such a lenient punishment? Why didn't these people get kicked out? Well, I don't want to start making any accusations, but if you know anything about some of the people and how they make it into West Point, maybe there's some people in powerful positions that are going to look bad. Maybe the cheating scandal is so bad they're just making an example of these people and then trying to go cover up stuff. I don't know. But you can't, I'm going to go back one time. You can't go back. You can't have this. We demand nothing than impeccable character, except for they're going to cheat. We are upholding our academic standards. They cheated. Well, what's the standard if this is what happened? The standard should be you cheated, you're gone. I was in a course when I was becoming an officer, and the day before we graduated, somebody went out and broke one of the rules, and they were gone. 10 hours before graduation, they screwed up, and they were gone, and nobody flinched. Every single one of us was like, that person was an idiot, and they deserve it. They had completed all of their academic requirements, all the military requirements. They were going to graduate. They were going to walk across, get commissioned, all this sort of stuff. Day before, they absolutely deserved to be let go because they couldn't wait a day. And like I said, what were they doing with the cheating? Were they trying to cheat to get an A because they had to get the highest grade possible because they're trying to do all this power struggle stuff? Why don't you just go see what you're capable of? Okay, enough of that. And again, I'm not trying to destroy West Point, but my point is, here you are, given a whole lot of money and a whole lot of responsibility, and you have the ability to teach an important lesson, and the lesson is, it's okay. We're just going to push you back a year. Now, there's a bunch of other punishments, like the ones that were athletes, student athletes got taken off athletic programs. Okay, you're still going to graduate. You're still getting your education paid for free. You're still not going to appreciate what you got. There are a bunch of other punishments, but they shouldn't be in the academy. I'm sorry. Because that's what's going to happen if you put somebody in charge. This is what you're going to get if you put that person in charge of an organization. Tell me I'm wrong, right? Think about it. Okay, I'm sorry this is such a downer. And like I said, 2 or 3 of the best people that I've ever worked for in my life came from the military, came from West Point. Also a couple of the worst. So this is not, so the thing is if you're going to maintain the standards and the consistency at the military academy, then you have to fix this problem right now because you've weakened a whole bunch of things by doing this. If you're going to have a standard, make it the standard and don't waver. Okay. I appreciate your time. If this riled you up, maybe you might need to go think about it for a little bit and then come back and watch it again and think about it. Go do some of your own research. But this is serious stuff. If we're going to put these people in charge of other people's lives, we need to make sure that they have absolute integrity. And they're not going to cheat, because everything is harder than school. And you're going to get stuck in some situation where, do I sweep this under the rug or do I tell the truth? And you got away with sweeping it under the rug. So what are you going to do? I had a sergeant major once that said, he goes, every so often you got to punish somebody to the maximum extent possible, because then everybody sees that and goes, I don't want to be that. Well, now what? Well, hey, now somebody goes and cheats and goes, well, you didn't throw them out. Why are you trying to throw me out? You just accepted a lower standard. I could go on about this for hours, but I'm going to stop. Short video. Appreciate your time. I hope you have a great day. And this is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. And that's it. I hope you have a great day. Take care.